How you doing, guys? Christopher Stolle here. Welcome to the inaugural show, I guess, of Chris Stolle, the Chris Stolle Show off the books. Um, to start off with, this is an inaugural show because it's going to be the first time that doesn't have anything to do with Realm of the Mist Entertainment. It has nothing to do with the SJ Network. It has nothing to do with anything that I am continuously involved with in any way, shape, or form. Really, this is kind of a bet from a friend of mine who turned around and said, you know what, you need to start doing these types of shows. But I don't want these types of shows to wind up being associated with SJ Network or associated with Realm of the Mist Entertainment because they are dedicated to entertainment. And because they're dedicated to entertainment, I don't want views and opinions that I share on this show to wind up tainting the views as in like video views and listenership of those programs, because those programs are non-biased, they are non-political, they are non-whatever. They are completely devoted towards music, movies, books, comics, and comedy and fun. And I want them to remain separate from this. That's why even in the beginning of the show, you'll see in the intro that there is a warning that these views and opinions are mine, and they are based on things that I see and recommend. And the intention of this show is specifically to open dialogue, because a lot of what I've seen in this world with a lot of subject matters, and I'm not just talking politically. I'm not talking about like Trump and Biden, or I'm not talking about like Black Lives Matter versus whoever, or whatever the case may be. It's in general that I've seen that a lot of us are being misled on both sides, the left and the right, and you're not being able to confront these problems and have an open dialogue with somebody who may have a different of opinion than you. And it gets shut down real quick as either just liberal lunacy, or you're a Nazi and a racist, or whatever the case may be. And that there's no open and honest true dialogue between people, allowing us to sit down, discuss it out, figure out what we know is correct and what we know is wrong, maybe re-educate somebody in something that's like, oh, I didn't realize it was that way, or oh, I didn't realize that's what they meant when they said this or that. Regardless of which, that's what this show is intended to be. I will be expressing my views, my opinions. They are mine. If I have anybody else on the show as a guest and they want to express their views and opinions, they are theirs. Okay, I'm hoping that when I do have guests on the show, that they will be guests who want to offer an opposing point of view and have an open dialect and discussion with each other to figure out not necessarily who's right and wrong, but more along the lines of why some people think like this while other people think like that. Um, that is the main intention of this show. I will not be going through this spiel over and over again every single show. You already know, if you're easily offended, this is a trigger warning. If you're easily offended or you don't like opposing points of view, do not watch this show. Do not listen to this show, because you're either going to agree with me or you're not. And both are okay, but I will not allow hate speech directed towards me or towards anybody else simply because you don't agree with the views and opinions expressed within. In other words, if you're commenting on the video or the audio and saying that I'm a hateful person, or that my wife should be shot, or whatever, then you're blocked. Okay. I 100% agree with freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but I do not agree with hate. In general, I do not agree with hate. I don't care if it's a racial hate, if it's an ethnicity hate, if it's a sexuality hate, if it's a difference of opinion hate. If you hate, you're out. If you want to have a dialogue, great. If you want to have your opinion heard and disagree with my opinion, awesome. But if you have anything that can be constituted as a call to action against anybody who is on this show for their point of view, you will not only be blocked, you will be reported. It's that simple. If you don't like me, I can give a shit less. But do not threaten my life. Do not threaten people I care about's lives. Do not drag your inability to have an adult conversation into this room. Now, with all that said, it's actually a perfect segue because what I'm about to talk about is very near and dear to my heart. And that's the fact that I live in the city of Philadelphia. And right now, Philadelphia is in a huge crisis because of the fact that a couple days ago, I think 3 or 4 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's about 4 days ago, a man was shot and killed in West Philadelphia by 2 police officers. But it's barely getting any coverage. And what it is getting is misinformation when it is being covered. It's honestly getting misinformation. Now, I know people are going to be like, oh, I live in the fucking city, okay? It is what I'm about to tell you is what it's looking like in this city. All right. The man, I don't know his name off the top of my head. I don't have the information up in front of me because this is more of an emotional video, which goes again to what I was saying about it being more about opinion than worrying about having the facts. You can look up the shit yourself. I did. Okay. But overall, in the city of Philadelphia, a man who may or may not, it hasn't totally been confirmed yet. Things are still in process, which makes what I'm about to talk about even worse. May or may not had a bipolar disorder, because there are reports that the man was a family man, loved his kids, was getting married, all that type of stuff. But he had bipolar disorder, which made him go however he went. And he turned around and he long history rap sheet with the police, violent actions. He turned around, he struck his mother and was becoming very, very agitated and violent around his household. And his own family members called the authorities, called the police. The police show up, and the guy proceeds to walk towards the police officers with knife in hand. And I'm not talking about like a little pocket knife. I'm not talking about like a Swiss Army knife or something like that, where the worst you'll get out of it is a flesh wound. I'm talking a knife, at risk of getting Crocodile Dundee statements. He had a knife on him. And the police trained their guns on him and told him to drop the knife. The guy proceeded to continue to approach the officers, knife in hand, refusing to drop it. The police backed up, screaming for him to drop the knife. When the guy did not, and he did not heed the statements, the officers opened fire and killed the man, considering him a threat. To which the city of Philadelphia has completely erupted into riots and looting. And when I say erupting into riots and looting, I don't mean peaceful protests started out and then bad seeds within the protests decided to start amping things up. No, it started violently from the moment that these disenfranchised people who are upset at the police opening fire on this man. There was no call for a protest. There was no picketing and signs, and snazzy little phrases. It was started off as riots and looting throughout the city of Philadelphia. And it has been that way for the past 4 nights, including tonight. Tonight is Halloween as I'm recording this. Tonight is Halloween. And for the past 3 nights, since the civil unrest has began, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania have been enforcing a curfew law, not on the rioters and the looters. No. On normal citizens, stay in your home. Businesses have to close early, and people who rely on their paychecks have to go home early and lose those hours' pay because we're being punished and put on grounding, sent to our room for the actions of others. but they're allowed to do it. There is a standing order by the Philadelphia Police Department to not arrest or impede the rioters. Standing order, which, by the way, comes from Outlaw, who previously was in charge of law enforcement in Portland. So you could pretty much guess how that works out. That these people who are rioting and breaking into businesses and stealing and looting and general chaos, they are not to be impeded. The police are to stand down. Stand down. There is footage of police cruisers, cars right next to the looting and the violence, and the cops doing nothing. Nothing. Well, they won't approach it. They won't stop it because of the standing order. Lawlessness is the order of the day in the city of Philadelphia right now. There's been no word from Mayor Kenny whatsoever, even to call to calm and wait for the full reports to come out. Nothing from Governor Tom Wolf as far as telling people to stop the madness until the full reports come out. No, instead, at the moment's time, we have 11 people, I believe, killed, over 30 people injured, most of which police officers. We had a female police sergeant run over with a truck. A truck. 15-year-old girl shot by other rioters. And God knows how many millions of dollars in damages to property, police cars caught on fire, places like Walmart and Five Below and, shoe stores completely gutted, rioted, or not rioted, but looted, which explains a lot. Actually, explain this to me. This is one of the major reasons I wanted to do this video. Explain this to me. How is 15 pairs of Jordans, a 55-inch plasma TV, and a PlayStation 4 justice for the man you feel was unjustly killed by police? Explain that to me. I don't get it. I don't. Even the rioting I can more forgive than the looting. And it's not because I'm an apologist or capitalist point of view. I don't get how this is justice for somebody you feel was unjustly gunned down by police. How is it you stealing artificial Christmas trees justice for him and his family? Where does that coincide with everything? I don't get it. I don't. I don't want my family to go and increase their materialistic gains in the name of me, whether I was unjustly killed or died of natural causes. That's not honoring me or my memory or speaking out for some ill wrong that may have befallen me. So I wouldn't want them to do that. So how is this justified in your mind? How is destroying other people's livelihoods, and especially because things like Black Lives Matter, who are one of the main perpetrators of a lot of the riots that are going on in Philadelphia and have been one of the major perpetrators, them and Antifa, in majority of what we've seen in the last year in this country. How is looting helping the Black community? Especially because you're looting Black business owners. You are destroying businesses that employ Black employees, which many of which, those employees, that is their only source of income. That is their livelihood that you are destroying. How is this justifying helping the Black community and honoring the man who was killed that you feel was unjustly killed and that you demand justice for? How does this work? Declare me ignorant. That's fine. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I will answer quickly for you. It doesn't. This is purely greed and civil unrest. This is anarchy. Okay. And this is coming from a headbanger from the 80s and 90s who loved to have the anarchy symbol and talk about fighting against the system and everything else. But that was all it was. It was all talk. In this day and age, you need rules and structures. And we don't have it. We don't have it. The lawless have control of the land. If you don't like something, just go beat up somebody until somebody listens to you. Steal shit. We'll let you keep it. Who cares about the consequences to the people that you're harming? All the people that you're harming. The innocent bystander walking down the street getting hit with a bike chain. You know, the police sergeant who was not involved with the shooting, now laying in a hospital with a fractured leg. Who are you helping? Who are you helping? Where is your message going to work? It doesn't. It does not work. It is simple greed and hate that you are spreading around and using it under the crutch of a platform of civil unrest. And when I say civil unrest, of course, I'm speaking of what usually is constituted by civil unrest. Protests, going to your congressperson, going to the steps of City Hall or the steps of the governor's mansion and demanding things be looked at, accounted for, and changed where necessary. You're not doing that. All you're doing is destroying your neighborhoods and other people's neighborhoods. You're harming people who had nothing to do with anything that you're bitching about. And at the end of the day, the only one that benefited from any of it was you. As you're sitting there putting on your new Air Jordans that you didn't get by paying for, watching the destruction on the local news on that brand new plasma TV. It's ridiculous. It needs to end. I am ashamed to be a Philadelphian right now. I am absolutely disgusted with this city. And not just disgusted at the rioters and the looters. I am disgusted at the government officials of the city and the state that you have allowed this to happen. You claim that you told the news media outlets that you brought the National Guard. No, you didn't. There's no National Guard on the street. They didn't stop shit. And if they were there, if they were in areas that I didn't see, they were given the same orders as the police department. Stand down. You have allowed this city to tear itself apart for the second time in a year. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. And the person who was shot and killed that sparked all this, his family should be ashamed too. Because even if they're right, and again, I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but even if it comes out that they are right, all this was done in their son's name, their brother's name, their whatever's name, and it's a damn shame. This is not how you enact change. This is how you incite wars. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll catch you on the next Chris Stolle show.